You should never underestimate the power of a witness. Welcome to Walking Through the Word, and we are in John chapter 1, verse 40. And I'm not talking about the witnesses like court witnesses. I'm more talking about the witnesses as in the spreading of word of mouth type thing. For example, if I run into a really good restaurant, and if you know me personally, you know that I love to recommend places to eat. I'm a bit of a foodie. And man, I will, if I find something that's good, I will proclaim it to the rooftops. You got to go try this place. This place is incredible. And I'll do that with all sorts of different things. And I've had other people that have said, man, you got to go to this place. And I love getting those kind of recommendations. And those will influence me far more than some talking head on a screen or, some newspaper review or those kind of things. I would much rather have someone tell me, and they place value in what they say. And that's exactly what we see here in the calling of the disciples when we see Andrew calling his brother Simon, who's about to be renamed Kepha, Peter. We see that witness, and we see Philip do the same thing with Nathanael. And we see these gentlemen who have discovered that there's this mysterious man who we think is the Messiah, the Christ, but we want you to come see for yourself. And so Andrew goes and he calls Simon and says, Simon, I want you to meet this guy. And Jesus looks at Simon and says, you know what? You're going to be called the Rock now. Now, this is not a chronological accounting right now. We see in other Gospels that that this happens later in the ministry. What this is basically John doing is John saying, hey, by the way, this is Simon Peter. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and tell you, spoiler alert, this is what happened. Okay, so we have this introduction there, and then we have this beautiful situation that happens with Philip and Nathanael, because Philip goes to find Nathanael. He knows that Nathanael has been someone that's been seeking truth, and as a matter of fact, Jesus says, here's an Israelite in whom there is no deceit, in verse 47. What he's basically saying is Nathanael is a man who is very transparent. And we've all met people like that, people that just speak their mind. And it can be a real blessing for them, and it can also sometimes be a little bit of a curse for them. When they speak their mind and they have no filter, well, Nathanael had no filter. Is there anything good that can come out of Nazareth? I mean, Philip comes, he finds Nathanael, says, hey, you got to find, this is the guy that Moses was talking about. This is the guy that prophets rose about. Jesus, the guy from Nazareth. You got to come see him. And it's really interesting that Philip introduces him as Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. As in, you're never going to believe who this is. This is the son of Joseph. This is the guy from Nazareth. We see in other accountings, Luke and Mark, that Nazareth doesn't receive Jesus well at all. And in fact, Jesus pretty much abandons Nazareth. He puts them on their own devices. He kind of brushes them off and says, I'm sorry, you're done, you're gone. Yet here comes Nathanael, and Jesus sees him coming from far off, and he proclaims this, and Nathanael says to him, how do you know me? And Jesus gives Nathanael a glimpse. Before Philip called you when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. Suddenly, Jesus was no longer just the son of Joseph, suddenly this guy just from Nazareth. He was suddenly, Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. Nathanael becomes excited. He's so excited, and Jesus says, hey, you think that's great, man? You're going to see greater things than these. Truly, truly, I say to you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. What an incredible statement. But that's something that we can look at and pay attention to as well. We see God do little things, and truly, truly, God will do even greater things than that. Because at some point, we will get to see Jesus face to face. And we will most certainly see the very same thing that Jesus promised to Nathanael. Heavens open, angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man. These are awesome and wonderful and amazing things, but we have to keep our eyes open. We have to be willing to look and see what God does and where God moves. If we're caught up in the daily doldrums, if we're caught up in our own things and our own circles, we're going to miss it. So my challenge and encouragement to you is allow yourself, like Nathanael, to be open, a person without guile, a person without deceit, a person who is, willing to just lay it all out there. The good news is if you lay it all out there, God will not disappoint. In fact, he dares you to. He says, taste and see. He says, put me to the test. See what happens. But do so honestly, do so willingly, because I will show you the truth. Be prepared for the truth and be willing to accept the truth. All right, there's our conversation for the day. We'll talk more next time.